My wife didn't cheat with another man. She betrayed me with my entire family. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel and comment below. What would you do if your own family betrayed you? The first time I realized something was wrong was when my 5-year-old daughter looked at me and said, "Daddy, why does Grandma say this house belongs to Uncle Samir now?" I froze. My coffee cup slipped from my hand and shattered across the kitchen floor. I stared at my daughter. "Who said that?" She blinked innocently. "Grandma. She told Uncle Samir not to worry because Mommy already handled the papers." Handled the papers. The papers, I felt. Something cold crawl through my chest because there was only one set of papers my wife had recently asked me to sign, and she told me they were insurance documents. That was the exact moment my life began falling apart. And the worst part? I still had no idea that my wife wasn't just betraying me. She was doing it with my mother, my brother, and nearly everyone I loved. My name is Zayan Malik. I'm 36 years old, and until 6 months ago I believed I had a good life, not perfect, but good. I owned a small architecture firm in Islamabad. It wasn't some giant company, but I built it from nothing. I worked 16-hour days for years. Every brick of my success had my sweat in it. I had a wife, a daughter, a house, a future. Or at least, I thought I did. My wife, Mayer. And I had been married for 8 years. She was smart, charming, beautiful in a quiet way, not loud, not flashy. She knew exactly how to make people trust her. When we met, she made me feel understood, seen. She used to say, "You think too much, Zayan," and I'd laugh because she was right. I analyzed everything, every risk, every number, every possibility. She balanced me, or at least, that's what I believed. Then there was my younger brother, Samir. Samir had always been complicated. He wasn't evil, just irresponsible. He jumped from business idea to business idea. Gym.crypto. Import business. Real estate. Nothing lasted. And every time he failed, my mother defended him. He just needs support. Support. That word cost me millions. My father died when I was 24. After that, I became the man everyone leaned on. Mother needed money. I helped. Samir had debt. I paid family emergency. I handled it, no complaints, because family is family, right? Wrong. The red flags started small, too small to notice, too small to question, like how. Mihir suddenly became interested in my finances. Not unusual. We were married, but something changed. She started asking very specific questions. How much equity is in the house? What happens if something happens to you? Is your mother's property legally divided? At first I laughed. Why are you interviewing me like a tax officer? She smiled. Just planning for our future. Future, funny word. One evening, I came home early from work. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I heard voices in the study. My mother, Meher, Samir. They stopped talking the second I entered. I frowned. Why does everyone look guilty? Samir forced a laugh, talking about investment. Mother added quickly, "Samir has a new opportunity." Of course he did. Another opportunity. I looked at him. What now? Commercial Plaza investment. I nearly smiled. Let me guess. You need money. He looked offended. No, just advice. That was new. Samir never wanted advice. He wanted money. Meher touched my arm. Don't be harsh. Harsh? That word stayed with me, because Meher usually agreed with me about Samir, but suddenly, she was defending him. Interesting. A week later, Samir visited again, this time without calling. He sat on my couch like he owned the place, relaxed, comfortable, too comfortable. He looked around and said, "This house has really increased in value." I raised an eyebrow. "Why do you care?" He smirked. "Just saying." That night I asked Meher, "Why is Samir suddenly obsessed with my house?" She shrugged. "You overthink. Again, you overthink." That sentence became her weapon. Every question I asked became proof I was paranoid. Then came the documents. One evening, Meher walked into our bedroom holding papers. "Can you sign these?" I was exhausted. "What is it?" "Insurance update." I skimmed the first page. Legal wording, dense language. I hated reading legal paperwork after work. Where's the summary? She pointed. Just standard updates. I trusted her. That was my mistake. I signed. She smiled. Knew I could count on you. Those words now make me sick. Days passed, then weeks. More strange things happened. My mother started acting distant. Samir became strangely confident, almost arrogant, like a man who knew something I didn't. One Friday dinner changed everything. We were all eating together, Mother. Samir, Meher, my daughter, and me. Samir said casually, "Big things are coming," Mother smiled proudly. I asked, "What big things?" He looked straight at me. "You'll see." Something about the way he said it bothered me, not hopeful, not excited, satisfied, like he was waiting. For what? I didn't know. Then I noticed something else. Meher and Samir exchanged a look. Just 1 second, but I saw it. A silent conversation. I felt heat rise in my chest. After dinner, I confronted Meher. "What's going on?" She frowned. "With what?" "You and Samir." She stared at me, then laughed. Actually laughed. "Seriously?" "That look?" "What look?" "The one at dinner." Her expression hardened. "You're accusing me now?" "No, I'm asking." She crossed her arms. "You need help." That hit me. Help? For asking a question. You're becoming obsessive, Zion. Obsessive, paranoid, overthinking. I noticed a pattern whenever I got close to something. I became the problem, not them. Me, then came the strangest. 3 days later, I was working late in my office when my bank app sent a notification, .property linked, document accessed. My heart skipped. I didn't remember opening anything. I logged in. There had been recent legal activity linked to my assets, house, savings, business. My hands turned cold. I called the bank. The representative said, "Yes, sir. Authorized access from joint approval." Joint approval? With whom? "Your spouse." I went silent. Why? Why was Meher accessing legal property records without telling me? Drove home fast. Too fast. When I entered, Meher was sitting calmly on the sofa, watching television. Like nothing happened, I held up my phone. "Why did you access legal property records?" Her expression didn't change. "Oh, that. She muted the TV. I was organizing documents. "Without telling me?" She sighed. "This again." Again, always again. I clenched my jaw. "What exactly are you doing?" She looked annoyed now. "For someone smart, you're exhausting." Exhausting. I stared at her. Who was this woman? Because this wasn't the woman I married. That night, she slept facing away from me. No conversation. No apology. Nothing. And for the first time in 8 years, I didn't sleep beside my wife. I lay awake, thinking, connecting, questioning. The next morning, I decided something. I would stop asking questions. I would start finding answers silently. Because if something was happening, someone didn't want me to know, and I had a terrifying feeling. The truth wasn't simple. It was bigger, much bigger. That same afternoon, my daughter said the sentence that destroyed everything. She walked into the kitchen holding crayons. Then she looked at me and said, "Daddy, why does Grandma say this house belongs to Uncle Samir now?" Everything stopped. I slowly knelt beside her. "Who told you that?" "Grandma." "What exactly did Grandma say?" She thought, then repeated carefully. "She told Uncle Samir, don't worry. Bahir already got Zion to sign everything." My blood ran cold. Everything. No. I stood up so fast my chair fell. "Insurance papers." "No." "Summary, quick signature." Meher's smile, Samir's confidence. Mother's silence. My hand started shaking. There was only one way to know. I ran to my study, opened the document, folder, pulled out copies, started reading. Line by line, word by word. Then I saw it, and the world stopped. It wasn't insurance. It was a property transfer authorization. My signature was there, legally valid, clean, perfect. My wife had lied to my face, and I had signed away control. But the final page hit harder than everything else, because under secondary beneficiary, there was a name. Not Meher, not my daughter, not my mother. It said Samir Malik, my brother, my own brother. I couldn't breathe. I heard footsteps. Behind me, Meher stood in the doorway, calm, silent, watching. She saw the paper in my hand, and instead of panic, she smiled. A slow smile. cold, controlled, terrifying. Then she said, "You weren't supposed to find that yet." What did Meher really do? Why was the entire family involved? And what shocking truth was still hidden? Subscribe now and comment. Should Zayan confront her? Or pretend he knows nothing? He won't fight if he believes. Everything he built was for another man's child. My stomach twisted. Another man's child. No, please no. Samir opened a field door, removed papers. My hands clenched. Paternity. Report. The lawyer adjusted his glasses. Legally, this gives leverage. But emotional pressure is your real weapon. Weapon. They called my daughter a weapon, Samir smirked. Exactly. Then the lawyer asked the question that changed everything. After transfer, what happens to the child? Silence. I stared through the glass. My mother looked down. Samir answered casually. She stays with us. Us. The lawyer frowned. Why? Samir smiled, and then he said the most horrifying sentence of my life. Because she's my daughter. My body went numb. No sound, no breath, nothing. The world disappeared. Oh, no, that wasn't possible. I stumbled backward, hit the wall, but somehow they didn't hear. Inside, the lawyer spoke again. You're sure? Samir laughed softly. I don't need a report to know. My ears rang. I forced myself to keep listening. Meher's voice came next. Calm, controlled. Deadly, he never suspected because he trusted both of us. I stopped feeling anger. What replaced it was worse emptiness, pure emptiness. I pressed my hand against the wall to stay standing. Then the truth got worse, much worse, Mother whispered. When did it start? Samir answered without shame, before the wedding. I froze. Before the wedding? My mind shattered. The lawyer looked surprised. That long? Samir nodded. Yes, Mother looked at Meher. You loved him? Meher gave a small laugh, not emotional, not sad, just cold. Then she said, I never loved Zayan. Something inside me broke, cleanly, silently. 8 years gone, she continued. I met Zayan because Samir introduced us. My brain raced. That was true. Samir introduced us at a family dinner. He had insisted I meet her. At the time, I thought he was being supportive, brotherly, but now, no, this couldn't be real. Meher kept talking. Samir and I were together. First, the lawyer blinked. Then why marry Zayan? Samir answered this time because of course he did, because this entire nightmare was his design, because I had nothing. He leaned forward. Eyes. Sharpened voice full of old bitterness. Zayan had everything. Mother closed her eyes. Samir continued. Father trusted him, respected him, gave him control. His jaw tightened. Everyone saw me as the failure. His voice grew darker, so I made a plan. My fists clenched. Plan. This was all a plan. He looked at her, then smiled. She loved me enough to help. Meher didn't react. Samir continued. She marries Zayan, gains trust, enters his life, waits. The lawyer slowly said, this took years. Samir smirked. Revenge should mature properly. Monster. He was a monster then. The final truth came. The truth that explained everything. Samir said the child was conceived during their marriage. But she is mine. I felt physically sick. My daughter, my little girl, the child I held at birth. The child who called me Baba. Not mine. No, I couldn't accept it. Tears blurred my vision. Inside, Mother suddenly spoke with pain. This has gone too far, Samir snapped. No, this ends only when balance is restored. Mother whispered. You already ruined his marriage. Samir slammed his hand on the table. He ruined my life first. He didn't. Yes, he did. His voice exploded. He took father's love, respect, inheritance, everything. Mother cried, your father made that choice? Samir laughed bitterly, and I made mine. Then he pointed at the papers. Tomorrow Zayan loses the house. Another paper. The business, another. The child. Then he smiled slowly, terrifyingly, and finally, his identity. I couldn't listen anymore. My vision blurred from rage, pain, grief. Wanted to burst inside, destroy. But then Meher said something unexpected, something none of us saw coming. She looked at Samir and After tomorrow. What about me? Samir frowned. What about you? You promised. His expression changed slightly, she noticed. I noticed. Everyone noticed. The lawyer stayed silent. Meher's voice sharpened. You said after this we'd finally live openly. Samir leaned back, avoiding her eyes. That tiny movement changed everything because, for the first time, Meher looked uncertain. Samir. He sighed, then said coldly, that was years ago. Her face changed. What? He rubbed his forehead. Don't do this now. No, her voice rose. No. Answer me. Mother looked confused. Meher stood. You promised. Me, Samir's patience vanished. I used. You caused silence, complete silence. Even I stopped. Breathing? Meher stared like she misheard. You, what? Samir looked bored. I said I used you. Her face drained of color. No. Yes, no. Yes, his voice became brutal. You were useful. I saw her shaking. No. We loved each other. Samir laughed, actually laughed. Cruel, merciless. Love? He looked at her with disgust. I needed access to Zayan, she whispered. You're lying, he shrugged. Believe what you want. Tears filled her eyes. You said our daughter? Our daughter? He interrupted. Then came the twist none of us expected. None, Samir smirked and said, how are you still sure she's mine? Everything stopped. Meher froze. Mother froze. Even the lawyer looked stunned. Meher whispered, what? Samir leaned forward, voice low. Poisonous. You cheated on Zayan with me, he smiled, but remind me. Was I the only one? Meher went pale. No. No way, Samir continued. 3 business trips, late-night meetings, secret calls. He laughed softly. You think I didn't know? Meher's lips trembled. You followed me? I investigated you. She looked terrified now. Samir's final words hit like a bomb. There's a real chance that child belongs to neither of us. My heart stopped. What? But no, impossible. Meher collapsed into her chair, shaking, crying. No. Samir looked at her with pure contempt. You betrayed everyone. Meher. Then he smiled. And now you know how little that meant. I stood outside, frozen. The entire truth had mutated again. Wife betrayed me, with my brother. But my brother may have betrayed her too, and my daughter might not biologically belong to either of us. Then suddenly, my phone vibrated. I looked down. A message, unknown number, 1 image. Attached, I opened it, and my blood turned to... It was a DNA report, but not the one they had. This one had my name, my daughter's name, and one result, 1 line, 1 truth, probability of paternity, 99.99%. I went completely still. What? What? I read it again. Again. She was mine. My daughter was mine. They lied. They forged everything, every single thing. Then another message arrived. Just 6 words from the same unknown number. They lied. Burn them all. Dad, my father. No, my father was dead. Then who sent this? I slowly looked back through the farmhouse window, and every survival instinct inside me screamed, because someone else was watching them too, from the darkness behind the barn. Who sent the DNA report? Who was hiding behind the barn? And how would Zayan destroy everyone who betrayed him? Comment below. Who do you think sent the message? I stared at the message. They lied. Burn them all. Dad, my hands trembled. This wasn't possible. My father had been dead for 12 years. So who sent this? And why sign it like that? I forced myself to breathe and look toward the barn. A shadow. Moved. Human. Watching the farmhouse, watching. Them watching me. Every instinct screamed danger. I quietly moved. Away from the window and circled toward the barn. Grass cracked under my shoes. The shadow shifted, then stepped forward. Moonlight touched his face. I stopped. My heart slammed against my ribs. Uncle Hamid, my father's older cousin. The man I hadn't seen in years. White beard, sharp eyes, same posture, same intensity. I remembered from childhood. He looked at me calm. Finally, I could barely speak. You sent that? He nodded, yes. I held up my phone. What is this? Why sign Dad? His expression softened. Because your father asked me to. Everything inside me froze. What? Hamid stepped closer. Before he died, he gave me instructions. My throat tightened. No. He said if your family's greed ever turns against you, I should intervene. I stared at him. This felt unreal, Hamid continued. He knew your mother loved both sons. I swallowed. He knew Samir carried resentment. My jaw tightened. So he predicted this? Not exactly. Hamid sighed, but he feared obsession. He looked toward the farmhouse. Your father understood something you didn't. What? Hamid's eyes hardened. Resentment grows in silence. I looked back toward the house. Rage returned. They lied about my daughter. Yes. How do you know? I've been watching. Watching?
For how long?
3 years, 3 years. I stared. Why didn't you tell me? His voice sharpened. Would you have believed me? I opened my mouth, then stopped. No, I wouldn't. Heaven not without proof. Hamid handed me a folder inside, documents, bank records, audio transcripts, property, records. Secret account statements, and something else. Notebook, Mir's handwriting, I recognized it. Instantly, what is this? Hamid answered. Her private journal. I opened it. Read a random page and felt ice in my veins. Year 1 of marriage, Samir says patience wins wars. Sometimes I hate myself. Sometimes I hate Zion because he makes kindness look easy. It would be easier if he were cruel. I turned pages. Year 3. Zion stayed awake all night when I had a fever. Why does guilt feel heavier now? Another page. Year 5. Samir says don't get attached. Too late, I think I'm breaking. I looked up. What is this? Hamid's voice was steady. The truth, I kept reading. The last pages were recent. Messy handwriting. Shaky. Emotional. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I no longer know who I'm betraying, Zion or myself. Samir doesn't love anyone. I think he never did. Then the final page, I stopped breathing. The child is Zayan's, always was. I lied because Samir needed leverage. I thought revenge would heal him. Instead, it created a monster. If anything happens to me, Zayan deserves the truth. My eyes shut. She knew, she knew. And still she continued. I clenched the journal. Meher stood in the doorway, calm, no fear, no guilt, just that cold smile. My hand tightened around the papers. What is this? She walked inside slowly. You already read it. Answer me. It's paperwork, I laughed. Not because anything was funny, because my brain couldn't process what was happening. Paperwork? Yes. You forged a property. Transfer, no. Her voice stayed steady. Didn't forge anything, she pointed at the page. You signed it. That hurt more than if she had screamed. Because she was right. Signed it. I stared at her. You lied. She tilted her head. I simplified. I felt rage boiling inside me. Simplified. You were busy. You trust me. I handled it. Why is Samir beneficiary? She folded her arms. Because it makes sense. Makes sense? Yes, I stepped toward her. Explain. Right now, her eyes hardened. You really want honesty? Yes. She gave a small laugh. Fine. Then she said something I never expected. I'm tired of your control, Zion. I froze. Control? What are you talking about? You control money, decisions, family problems, everything. I solve problems. No, you decide everything. I stared. This made no sense. I built everything for us. For us? She snapped. No, Zion, for yourself. I shook my head. This is insane. She looked at me with disturbing calm. You know what your problem is. No, tell me. You think being useful makes you lovable. Her words landed like knives because somewhere deep inside. That sentence touched something real. But this wasn't about psychology. This was betrayal. Why Samir? She looked away briefly, then back. Because he deserves a chance. I almost laughed again. A chance? With my house? She didn't answer. That silence told me everything. There was more, much more. I lowered my voice. How long?
How long what?
How long have you been planning this? She looked directly into my eyes. Long enough. Then she walked away, just like that, leaving me standing there. Broken, confused, furious. That night, I didn't confront anyone else. Not my mother, not Samir. I did something smarter. I acted normal. The next morning, I apologized to Meher, fake apology carefully delivered. Maybe I overreacted. She studied me. I forced calm. You're right. I've been stressed. She relaxed. Just slightly. Good. She believed me. That was the moment I stopped being the victim and became the hunter. For the next 6 days, I watched, listened, collected. I checked phone records, emails, shared accounts, anything at first. Nothing. They were careful, too careful. Then, I noticed something strange. Meher had a second phone. I found it by accident, hidden inside an old winter coat, powered off, no lock. I turned it on and my chest tightened. One contact pinned at the top. Samir. I opened messages. At first, business talk, documents, meetings, property. Then, deeper messages. Messages that made my stomach twist. Samir. He suspects something. Meher. I handled it. Samir. You always do. Meher. Don't get careless. Samir. Relax. Soon everything changes. My heartbeat grew louder. I kept scrolling. Then, message from 3 months ago. The message that changed everything. Samir. Once the transfer happens, there's no going back. Meher. I know. Samir. Any guilt? Meher. Not anymore. Samir. Good. He never saw you. Meher. No, he only saw what he needed. I stopped breathing. What did that mean? Then came voice notes. I played one. Samir's voice filled the room. Low, relaxed, dangerously confident. After this, he'll have nothing but the business. And once phase 2 happens, even that won't stay his. Phase 2? Phase 2. There was more. My hands shook. I opened the gallery, documents, photos, screenshots, then a photo. Meher and Samir sitting together in a cafe, closed, not too close, not romantic, but intimate, like co-conspirators, like partners. I kept looking. Another photo. Illegal office, another property, another bank statement. Then I found a folder named Finale. Opened it. Inside were scanned legal drafts. Read every line. Felt unreal. They weren't just taking my house. They were preparing to take my business. 2. Using legal leverage debt. Structuring. Ownership dilution. Signature. Traps. This wasn't impulsive. Betrayal. This was a planned operation. Months, maybe. Years. Then I found something unexpected. An audio recording file. Hey Mom. Callie played it. My mother's voice, soft, concerned, but manipulative. Father. Is everything ready? Meher. Almost. Mother. Good. Zayan won't give. Willingly. Meher. I know, Mother. He never shares power. Meher. He trusts me. Mother. That's why this will work. I stopped the recording. I couldn't move. My own. Mother, my own mother, not manipulated, not innocent, involved, fully involved. I sat in silence. My entire life began replaying. Every sacrifice, every rescue, every time I protected them. And this was my reward. Then something caught my eye. One final file. A scanned letter. Old, very old, date. 6 years ago, before my daughter was born. Opened it, and the ground disappeared beneath. It was from my father's lawyer. Subject, inheritance. Amendment request. I read faster, then slower, then again. No, impossible, according to the document. My father's original will had divided assets equally, between me and Samir. But then, there was an amendment request, signed, processed, approved. The amendment gave me majority control over everything. I stared. I remembered this. Father changed the will before dying, because he told me, "You're responsible. Samir isn't ready, so what was wrong?" Then I saw the attached note, handwritten from my father. I recognized his writing instantly. It said, "If Samir becomes responsible, restore his share." Not because he deserves money, because he deserves a chance to become better. My head spun. That note changed everything. This wasn't only about greed. This was about resentment. Years of resentment. Samir believed I stole his future. Mother probably believed it too, and Meher somehow got pulled into it, or maybe not. Pulled. Maybe she chose. Then I heard the front door. Open voices. Mother, Samir, Meher. They were home. I quickly locked the phone and hid it. Then I moved quietly near the stairs, listening. Mother spoke first. Has he noticed anything? Meher answered. He found the transfer. Silence. Then Samir. What? He thinks that's all. Samir exhaled. Good, Mother asked. What about phase 2? Samir laughed. That laugh, I'll never forget it because it carried zero guilt, only greed. Then he said, once the paternity report reaches him, he'll collapse. My world stopped. Paternity? Paternity report? I felt ice in my veins. Mother lowered her voice. Are you sure this is necessary? Samir answered, yes, when he believes the child isn't his, he'll break mentally. Then he'll sign anything. I couldn't hear, I couldn't think, my daughter. They were talking about my daughter. Dinono Meher spoke, and what she said destroyed me. He worships that girl. Take her away and Zian becomes nothing. I nearly stumbled. My chest hurt. I wanted to storm downstairs, scream, break. Everything. But I stayed frozen because now I understood something. Terrifying. This wasn't just betrayal, this was psychological warfare. They wanted to destroy me. Emotionally, completely. Then Samir said, tomorrow night. Final meeting, Mother asked. Where? Samir replied, at the farmhouse. We finish everything there, farmhouse, their meeting place, their war room. I backed away. Silently, my hands were trembling. Tomorrow night. That was my chance. I needed proof, all of it, no guessing, no assumptions, proof, because once I moved, I had to destroy them completely. But as I turned toward my room, I heard a tiny voice behind me. Daddy. I spun around. My daughter stood there, sleepy, holding her teddy bear. She looked scared. Why are you crying? I touched my face, tears I hadn't even realized. She hugged my leg and whispered, Mommy said maybe you won't be my daddy soon. Everything inside me shattered. I knelt, holding her tightly. Listen to me. She looked up. You are my daughter. Her eyes watered. Always? I swallowed the pain in my throat. Always. She hugged me harder, then whispered something so quietly I almost missed it. Daddy. Uncle Samir hates when I call you Baba. My blood ran cold. I stared at her. What did you say? She blinked. In the car. He got angry. In the car? She nodded. When Mommy and Uncle took me for ice cream. Ice cream? My mind raced. Why was Samir taking my daughter alone with Meher? Then she said, the sentence that changed everything. Why did Samir want Zion's daughter to call him father? What was in the paternity report? And what horrifying truth waited at the farmhouse? Comment below. Is Samir lying? Or is something even darker going on? I didn't sleep that night. Not even for a minute. My daughter's words kept replaying. He said I should practice calling him Baba instead. Practice. Why would any sane man say that to a child? Unless, no, I refused to believe it. But belief no longer mattered. Facts did. And tomorrow night at the farmhouse, I would get them. I spent the entire next day acting normal. I kissed my daughter goodbye, went to work, answered calls, signed client papers, smiled when required. Inside, I was burning alive. By evening, I was ready. I packed a voice recorder, a backup recorder, my old phone, and a small hidden camera. At 8:40 p.m., I drove toward the farmhouse. It belonged to my mother's cousin and had been unused for years. Quiet, isolated, perfect for secrets. I parked far away, walked. Through the side path, every step felt heavier. I reached a window, lights on inside, voices. Turned on recording, then slowly moved closer. Inside were 4 people, my mother, Samir Meher, and someone I didn't recognize, a man in his 50s suit, briefcase, lawyer. Samir was speaking, confident, smiling. Tomorrow he'll sign. The lawyer asked, and if he refuses? Samir leaned back. He won't. Mother looked nervous. You're certain? Samir nodded. Once he sees the report, he'll mentally collapse. Meher finally spoke, cold as ever. He said I should practice calling him Baba instead. She had chances to stop. Hamid nodded. Yes. She chose not to. Yes. Pain turned into steel. No more confusion. No more grief. Only clarity. What do I do? Hamid looked at me. Depends. On what? Do you want justice? I stared at the farmhouse. No. His eyebrow lifted. No. I smiled for the first time in days. Cold, controlled, dangerous. Want destruction. Hamid said nothing. Then he smiled, just slightly. Good. That night we made a plan. A precise plan. No violence, no shouting, no impulsive. Revenge, something better. Public. Exposure, financial collapse, legal destruction. Psychological. Reversal, everything they built against me, I would use against them. Step by step. Morning came. I returned home before anyone noticed I'd been gone. Meher was in the kitchen making tea like a normal wife, like she hadn't spent the previous night destroying my life. She looked, "You're up early," I smiled. Yes, she narrowed her eyes. Something about me felt different. Good, let her notice. Everything okay? I walked toward her, close enough to see the faint stress under her eyes. Then I kissed her forehead, gentle, warm. Her body stiffened. Interesting. Guilt, confusion, fear. Perfect. I love you, I said. Her eyes widened. Because I hadn't said those words in weeks, she forced a smile. I love you too. Lie. I smiled back. Lie. That afternoon, I invited everyone: Mother, Samir, Meher, close relatives, business partners, family lawyer. Reason? I announced a special family dinner. Samir arrived confident. Mother looked curious. Meher looked cautious. By evening, 20 people filled my house, everyone talking, laughing, drinking tea. No one knew they were walking into a battlefield. Samir approached me, relaxed. So what's the occasion? I smiled. Big announcement. He smirked. Sounds expensive. It is. At 9 p.m., I stood, tapped my glass. The room fell silent. All eyes on me. Perfect, I began. Calmly, thank you all for coming. Smiles, nods. Continued. Tonight is about family, Mother. Smiled. Samir crossed his arms. Meher stared. Continued. Specifically. Trust. Silence deepened. Samir's smile faded slightly. Good. Looked at him, then at Meher, then at Mother. Spent years believing family means loyalty. No one moved. I was wrong. Mother's face changed. Samir narrowed his eyes. Meher went pale. They knew, not fully, but enough. I clicked. A remote TV screen turned on. Samir frowned. What is this? I looked at him. Truth. Then I played the first recording. Samir's voice filled the room. Clear, sharp, undeniable. Tomorrow Zayan loses the house. The business, the child. Gasps. Shock. People turned toward Samir. Mother's face drained. Meher stopped breathing. Samir exploded. Turn that off. I didn't. Second recording. Meher's voice. He never suspected because he trusted both of us. The room erupted. Whispers, disbelief. Samir lunged toward the TV. I spoke. Down. My voice cut through everything, cold, deadly. He stopped because something in my face told him. I was no longer his brother. I played more. The affair, confession, the manipulation, the plan, every lie, every betrayal. Then silence, heavy crushing. Mother began crying. No. Samir pointed at me. You planned this? I smiled. Just like you. His jaw tightened. You think this changes anything? I clicked again. New document on screen. DNA report. Highlighted. 9.99%. Probability of paternity. I looked straight at him. She's my daughter. Samir's confidence cracked. For the first time, real fear. I stepped toward him. You used my child as a weapon, he said. Nothing. I stepped closer. You lied about blood. Nothing. Closer. You lied about father. His breathing changed. Closer. You lied about everything. Then I dropped the final bomb. Even Meher. Samir looked confused. Turned the screen again. Journal pages. Her words. Her guilt. Her realization. Everyone read. Samir's face changed. He slowly turned toward Meher. It's pure rage. You wrote this? Tears streamed down her face. Yes, that single word destroyed him. Because betrayal hurts most when mirrored. He shouted, You ruined everything. Meher screamed back, No, you did. Samir lunged, but security stepped in. Yes, security. I planned for everything. Samir struggled, screaming, cursing, spitting fury. Mother collapsed into tears. Stop. Stop. I looked at everyone, then calmly delivered the final strike. By the way, all eyes returned to me. I smiled. The property transfer? Samir's eyes widened. What about it? I pulled out another document. My signature was real. Hope flashed in his eyes, then I finished. But the transfer is legally worthless. Silence. Samir frowned. What? I smiled wider. Because the property was moved into an irrevocable trust. I let the words sink in. 8 months ago, Samir went completely still. No, he whispered. No, I nodded. Yes. Meher stared at me. What? I looked at her. You weren't the only one checking documents. Samir shook his head. Impossible. Impossible. I laughed softly. You spent years planning revenge. I leaned toward him, and still failed basic due diligence. The room was silent. I delivered the killing blow. You stole nothing. Samir looked broken. No. No house. He trembled. No business. He shook harder. No daughter. His eyes watered. No victory. Then I said the one sentence I had waited years to say. Father was right about. That shattered him completely. He screamed. Animal rage. Security dragged him back. He kept shouting. No. No, no, but I wasn't done, not yet, because the final revenge was still coming. Then the front door opened, and someone unexpected walked in. A woman, elegant, professional, holding legal files. She looked at Samir and said, Mr. Samir Malik, the fraud division would like to speak with you. Who was the mysterious woman? What charges was Samir facing? And what final twist would end this family forever? Comment below. Does Samir deserve prison or something worse? The woman stepped inside, calm, professional, merciless. She opened the file. Mr. Samir Malik, you are under investigation for financial fraud, document manipulation, tax evasion, and conspiracy. The room went silent. Samir's face lost all color. No, this is fake. She looked at him coldly. It isn't. He turned to me. You did this? I held his gaze. No, Samir. I nodded toward the files. You did. Everything he had done to manipulate me, every fake document, every illegal transfer, every hidden account had become evidence against him. Security released him only for officers to step forward. Mother collapsed, crying. My son. Please, Samir shouted. Mom! Tell them! But even she had nothing left to say. He looked at Meher, pure hatred. This is your fault. Meher broke down. No, this is yours. He laughed bitterly, then said the last cruel thing he had left. You both deserved each other. Officers took him away. His screams faded. Then silence. Heavy silence. Meher stood trembling, tears falling. She looked at me for the first time. No lies, only regret. I'm sorry, I stared at her. 8 years, a marriage, a family destroyed. Sorry was too small. She whispered, I did love you. In the end, I answered quietly, that's what makes it worse. She cried harder. I know. Then I said the final words between us. I forgive you. Here she looked up, shocked, but I continued. I forgive you. But I will never keep you in my life again. Her knees almost gave out, because forgiveness wasn't reconciliation. It was closure. Weeks later, divorce was finalized. Mother moved out, broken by everything. Meher disappeared from our lives. Samir faced prison, and my daughter? She ran into my arms one evening and asked, Baba, you're not leaving, right? I held her tightly. Never, never, she smiled, safe, loved, mine. One night, while putting away old papers, I found a letter from my father, hidden in Hamid's folder. I opened it, his handwriting, his words, simple, powerful. It said, Son, betrayal hurts most when it comes from family. But remember this, being betrayed does not mean you lost. It only means they revealed who they truly were. Build again, stronger, wiser, free. I sat there in silence, then smiled because I finally understood. They didn't destroy me. They removed illusions, and that was freedom. If this story shocked you, like, subscribe, and comment below. What hurt more, the betrayal of his wife, or his own family?